This is my 1983 Toyota Sunraider, and let me tell you, this thing has been a huge part of the last 2+ years of my life. If you don't know, before I started this YouTube channel, I built and restored these for customers. I did all sorts of engine swaps, four-wheel drive conversions, all sorts of crazy things, and this is accumulation of basically a decade of my knowledge and a ton of other people giving me insight as to what was best of the best for overland rigs. And in my opinion, this is probably one of the best overland rigs built to date. It's my baby, it's my pride and joy. We've taken up the coast of California, we've hit overland expos, this thing's even been to King of the Hammers already. We have jumped this thing, we have wrecked this thing, and not like that, but we broke the walls inside. It was kind of crazy. And now we have fully restored it. It is my baby. It is my wife's bigger baby. She loves this thing, and I am so stoked to show you guys around and finally introduce this to the channel. We have a ton in store for interior modifications and upgrades, but today our focus is getting this thing completely road ready, completely mechanically sound, because after we did the full conversion, or the full restoration, we actually blew the engine. The engine was a stock 300,000 mile 3RZ with a supercharger, and surprise, surprise, we blew it up. So our boys at LC Engineering hooked us up, made sure that we had a fully built 800 horsepower capable engine under there, and now we have this thing dialed in, rear locker, front locker, the whole nine, and we are ready to take on King of the Hammers this year. No, we're not racing. Again, we're just going out there, but if you've been to that lake bed, you know how crazy it is out there. So we're hoping this thing comes back in one piece and have the time of our lives. So without further ado, let me show you a few things that we have for you guys. This is actually one of our very first runs of merch. This is the front, this is the back. They should be live on the website by the time you guys are seeing this video. We have a few more things in here. We have hats. We'll have each of these in flat bill and curved bill. These are just 5-panel trucker hats. We have the OG. I'm not sure if this is gonna be a limited run or what, but it's just Elevated Fabworks, established 2024, typical logo on the front. And then we also have stickers. So we got the OG Elevated Overland sticker, a couple Elevated Fabworks stickers, big Elevated Fabworks sticker, and a small Elevated Fabworks sticker. We'll probably sell all these in a sticker pack, and if you buy a shirt or a hat or anything else like that, we'll throw a few of these with each order. Your guys' support means the world to us, and without it, we wouldn't be able to do this. And the more you guys buy here, the less I have to run ads. And I would much rather just sell 100 or 200 shirts a week than do an ad. So, with all that said, let's get to the shop, let's get this thing fixed up, and let's make King of the Hammers happen, because I am so stoked to finally go on another road trip with this thing. It's been down for well over a year. Like, come on, way too long. So let's get at it. So now that we're in the shop, I might as well tell you guys a little bit about this thing. We bought this in August of 2022. It was bone stock, 6 inches off the ground, a lame 22R under the hood, and now we have a fully built LC Engineering engine. We basically have every accessory you can buy from LC. Supercharger, headers, long block that's built for about 800 wheel horsepower. No, it's not at 800 right now. It's more like 275, but this thing scoots right along down the highway. We have a W56 transmission in here, gear drive transfer case with 4.7 low gears. We have Baja designs up front. We have a bunch more to put on here, but we've been strapped for time for the last, well, 2 years. So now we're finally getting around to putting everything on there. We do have a winch on here right now, but we do also have a Warn winch coming. We're ready to put on here. We just need to do a few modifications because the Warn winch is, well, bigger and better in every way. Up front, we have 35-inch tires wrapped in some, well, 17-inch wheels wrapped in some 35-inch tires. Box triple bypass shocks, fully adjustable. These things are insane. We actually powder coated the entire chassis during the restoration. I built the chassis from the cab back. We did every single bit of this in-house minus laying the base and clear. So all the body work, all the metal work, all the fabrication we did in-house, which is a big accomplishment for us. We have turn overland windows throughout the whole thing. These are double pane acrylic overland windows, and man, they make such a difference. They have built-in blinds, built-in shades. It's amazing. We are also, this video, we're gonna try and get the 530 plus amp hour of Expion 360 lithium in here, which is gonna be a game changer while we're out on the lake bed. In the rear, we did a massive departure angle chop. We cut all this fiberglass out. It hung down to here and all the way out. So now our departure angle is better than most lifted 4Runners. So this thing should, in theory, go just about anywhere. The inside, everyone's been asking, it's gutted. It's still not built out. It's okay, it's a giant box on wheels. We'll get there. Hopefully this summer this thing will be built out. And in this like slider bumper thing, we have a spare tire holder. This holds our spare 35-inch tire. I'd have done a swing out, but they're just prone to failing. And yeah, I guess that's the main little walk around of this thing. Under here we have 1-ton Chevy rear springs, 1-ton Chevy sway bar, Fox 2.5 adjustable DSC shocks. We do have new rear shock mounts because we didn't quite get that dialed, so we'll be doing that today. Today we need to talk about what's broken. Rear diff, it's cooked. On the way home, which was a 1,200 mile test drive from when we built the chassis and built this whole truck, we lost the rear drive shaft, bent the rear pinion, so the rear differential is absolutely cooked. So we have a brand new rear differential. Sorry. This is a 529 Eaton E-Locker diff. We got this from LC Engineering, and I cannot speak highly enough about those boys. They got this to me ASAP. We have the entire Eaton wiring kit for it, and we have never put a dang exhaust on this thing. So we're going full stainless on the exhaust. We have a 2.5-inch Borla muffler. And then, like I said, we have a ton of lithium. Now, E360, they've been a supporter of us, Elevated Overland, before we were Elevated Fabworks for so long. And I am so stoked to finally have 500 amp hour lithium in here. We're gonna have rooftop AC. We're gonna have 800 watts of solar. It's gonna be sick. But in order to use any of that, it's got to run and drive. So let's go ahead, tear into the rear end, get this rear diff replaced, build an exhaust for this thing, and yeah, get this thing road ready and maybe take it for a little bit of wheeling at the end of this video, because the only driving I've done with this was an initial test drive for 2 miles where we blew the engine, and then a 1,200 mile test drive back home where we blew the rear diff. So maybe we can take it for a test drive where we don't blow anything. We'll see. All right, let's pull this rear end apart. I am taking tires off so we can pull the axle shafts out. Axle shafts got to come out in order to put a differential in, because the axle shafts go in, slide into the differential. Differential usually differentiates. That's one tire spin faster than the other on turns. We want those tires locked up so we can go up any hill at any time. So that's where we're headed. So we got to pull these nuts off of this axle shaft. This is the shaft. It goes in, bolts the hub, which spins to the differential. Oh, you need the right socket for sure. So these have conical washers. They're really weird, and they're greasy, so they don't want to come out. But you pull these out. Once you get all these out, you take a brass hammer and or punch and hit them on the side, and then boom, your little cone washer comes out. That is how you do that. Now we repeat the process on the other side, and we're free to pull the differential, since we already pulled the rear drive line because, well, it was cooked. Super cooked. Now the differential is free to come out. These shafts are good. They're 1-ton full flow shafts. Front shafts, they're normal Toyota Burfields, and well, they're popping like normal Toyota Burfields. We need some RCVs or some trail gear long fields up in it, but for today, it gets stock O'Reilly replacements. So the reason you didn't see me have jack stands under here before is because we're trying to also replace the rear lower shock mounts, because we need a little more room in between the upper and lower mount. So now we can put the jack stands way out here, and where the tire used to be, and we'll have plenty of room to work on the shocks. And it needs to go higher. There we go. And we're about to get real greasy. So gloves go on. This pinion, if you look at it, goes up and down and up and down and up and down. Because when the drive shaft mid-drive at 40 miles an hour disconnected from right here, and went BAM! And we smashed the gas tank, we smashed the frame. Luckily we skipped the brake line. But it really caused some havoc under here, and it bent our pinion bearing seal, or pinion shaft thing that goes into the diff. So now this leaks out all the fluid, which is why LC sent us a new 529 with the Eaton, which is awesome because LC has like everything you need. So called them, they sent it out, and we got it in like 3 days. So the one thing I do love about working on the Sunraider, especially in the rear end area, I'm like sitting up, fully sitting up on jack stands, and I have plenty of room just to hang out. It's the one thing of having a monster truck motorhome, you don't have to crawl to get under it. So my gloves disintegrated already, so we're just gonna raw dog it and get dirty. But we're gonna see how much diff fluid is left after leaking. Well, we filled this up total of 3 times on the way home on the 1,200 mile journey, and I know it quit leaking because it quit leaking. So that, I mean, that's how you know it quit leaking. Let's see how much metal's on this drain plug. Oh, did you hear that? I don't know if you... That's all metal chunks. It's chunky. Okay, well, look how much fluid came out. Oh, yeah, that diff's cooked. Doesn't look that bad. The big bummer about all the metal shavings is we're gonna have to really clean this diff housing out, so whatever, is what it is. We got a nice new diff to put in. So there's like massive chunks next to the drain plug. Like, they are chonky boys. All right, well, we'll see which gear is broken, but I'm surprised this thing made it home. We drove on it for like 1,200 miles this way. Toyota, it'll never leave you stranded. Just leaves you without a car. So we also destroyed the carrier bearing because the pinion was bent, so the drive shaft was doing the thing, and well, now we have a new carrier bearing here because it's a lifetime warranty for normal usage, totally normal usage. Okay, cool, carrier bearing stuff happening. And just like that, new carrier bearing. That's about torque spec. We have exhaust work to do. It kind of fell apart with the rattles and shakes and vibrations on the 1,200 mile journey home. It was an intense journey. It was long, and we actually have footage of all of it. Maybe you guys will see that one day, but it was freaking epic. And we made it though. It's a Toyota. It'll always make it. So this is what I mean by steak a nut. Just make sure you get this nut all smashed up into the little slice they give you. This nut's like not looking the best, so don't use this as a reference as to what yours should look like. And now we clean the axle housing out and get this new diff in. Pretty easy, honestly. Full floats are sweet. So you always want to clean all of the metal at all the places, especially when you got a nice new diff going in. So we're gonna put brake clean in here, shove a bunch of paper towels in there, and shove them through with a big old long pole. Try and wipe all that nasty old stuff out of there. So we'll scrape all this old RTV off, and then we will use more RTV on. And then the diff will go in. Oh wow, we even scored the housing on that nasty differential. I want to get all the metal possible out. Now we'll brake clean it out again because I just made it all dirty. So now that we have this all clean, the housing's super clean inside, outside, and the flange where we're gonna put the new diff is clean. We're gonna use some RTV, go around every single hole, and just make sure that we don't got no leakage, because no one likes a leaky diff. We'll spread it out by hand to try and get the most even coverage. All right, let's get this bad boy from LCE installed. So the diff's in, that was easy. Make sure all these are nice and tight. Don't want to lose a diff. And now all we have left to do is wire up this Eaton E-locker. Again, I got all this from LCE, LC Engineering. These guys are awesome. They've supported me way back. They supported the Toyota community for almost 40 years. And on the 15th of March, they're doing Loitering by the Lake, which I will be there, and you guys should come hang out because it's gonna be cool. It's their 40th anniversary. They're gonna have music, they're gonna have food. It's gonna be a good time. Lots of old Toyotas. See this thing, see maybe the 4Runner, see their 85. It's gonna be a good time, it really is. And boom! Look at that, it's not bent. The pinion, it spins in a circle and not an oval. All right, so we did just tighten these wheel bearings just a little bit. We actually haven't done these wheel bearings in this rig. They weren't bad, they haven't been bad, but this side was just a little loose. And now, nice and tight, so good to go. In. And now we just reinstall these cone washers, and then followed by the cone washers come the split washers, and then the nuts. Torque it down to whatever torque spec is. For me, it's good and tight, and you're good to go. We'll do this on the other side, and then we will start addressing this rear shock situation. Shockingly enough, I didn't get it right. So we now have a differential that spins, you know, the dings, and it's not bent, which is sick. Now we need to move on to these shocks. As you can tell, we don't have a whole lot of shaft showing, so we got some new shock mounts. Ugh. from Skies Off-Road. This will drop our shock down a couple inches, which is gonna be very crucial for not bottoming these very, very nice Fox shocks out. So what we'll do, we'll take this shock out, top and bottom, get out of the way, cut these lower shock mounts off all the way, and then prep the axle, grind it down, get some fresh steel on there, weld these new shock tabs on, and rattle can this black. Should be a fairly quick process, but I always say that and it always takes way longer than I think. So let's get started. All right, different pry bar. Sweet part about these Fox shocks is they have these built-in bump stops, so you can't actually fully bottom your shock out, even when you don't design your shock mounts, or your shock mounts quite perfect. So get a little bit extra stroke on that and we'll be good. Now we will cut this shock mount off. Kind of beat it up a little bit. New. Should be good. Now we'll prep this side and then cut the other side off. Make sure everything's happy and do it again. So I want to roll this up a little bit like that. So we're gonna cut off just a little bit of this I don't know, bracket. Boom. And then it'll more easily go where I want it to go. Yeah, so we'll tack this where we think it goes, and hopefully we don't just think, we know. More prep, and we'll get the welder out. Dude, the people, can they even see us?
Did you just touch my lens? You don't use the shirt either.
I have a lens cloth over there. The thing you're supposed to use. I usually just blow on my shirt and send it. Did you touch my drum set? Oh, it's looking a lot more spiffy though. It's like, yeah, right in the center rather than all the way at the top. We'll get it in and we'll measure how much difference we made. It was quite a bit, but I am definitely gonna need a floor jack to get this in. Hang on, wait, stop. Okay, go ahead. All right, so it's in. And we helped, but I don't know if we helped enough. So we have 3.5 inches of shock showing, and we have 2 3/4. So we got an inch. I'd like 1 more inch out of it. Oh, this is the side that was shorter anyway. It's just gonna have to be live. Might need some pick-me-up springs back here to make sure we're not bottoming out the springs, but for now, this is a lot better than we were working with. All right, now that just is what it is, we're gonna pull this back out, fully weld out this shock tab, and get the other side done so we can move on to building this exhaust, which I'm kind of excited about. I have never heard this engine with a proper exhaust. It's always been straight piped or some BS. All right, I'm gonna go cut off that, see what we need to do after that. So we are tracing out a little bit of this we need to notch, and hopefully we just have to do it once. All right, that'll work for position. That's where it's going, folks. Let's hope it's right after that weld. It was a little bit more than a tack. I got carried away. The welding gods took over me and said, burn it in there. Oh yeah, money. We're gonna need that jack again. Hey babe, do me a favor. Lower this jack down a little bit. All right, stop. Jack it up. Up there. Getch, I don't know what's holding it in there. Perfect. That's a lot more shaft. That's much better. Yeah, this side is, what happened is these upper mounts did get welded a little less than ideal. And this side gives us about 3/4 of an inch more than this side. So I'm assuming this was at 3 1/4, yep, 4 1/4. So we gained an inch, which doesn't sound like a lot, but is a lot. So we'll lift up the rear 1 inch, lift up the front 2, 2.5 inches overall. of the camper, and then these shocks will be perfect. And now we just need to burn these in, put some rattle can on them, and we're good for hammers. Here, I'll show you how to cool off welds super fast. See how fast that paint's dry? Just completely dry right there where I just welded. That's it, all done. Moving on to the exhaust. It's gonna be exhausting. All right, so now we're moving on to the exhaust, and this has been a massive issue since I rebuilt this thing. I've had an exhaust on it. It wasn't beautiful, so I cut it off for all the car shows I went to because it wasn't running, going to the car shows. Now it's a running, driving car show truck. So we have a decibel meter here. We're gonna see how loud it is in the cab, just at idle, and then we're gonna see how loud it is outside of the cab at idle, and then we're gonna do the same thing once we put the new exhaust on. So let's see what happens. So we're gonna reset this so everyone can see. Wow, shutting the door was 93 decibels. All right. All right, so we're sitting at 80, or it was like 78 decibels now. Almost 100 decibels with a small, just whop whop. Let's go see what it is outside. .92 decibels. Now I'm gonna set this here and I'm gonna rev it up. .121 decibels. Okay, so we had something like 97 in the cab and 121 outside of the cab. Let's build an exhaust and see if we can get like 91 outside the cab and like 75 inside the cab, because this was awful driving back from Idaho this way. So we have a good old Amazon special boiler muffler. We have a whole bunch of Amazon special stainless pipe, and I'm using the creeper this time because I got covered in steel last time. Show you guys exactly what I'm thinking for an exhaust, and then we'll go from there. Oh, don't drop the nice pretty exhaust. So what we have under here right now is an eBay special resonator. Oh, it's hot, imagine that. So this actually just made things louder and worse. So we're gonna cut this out of here. Luckily it's just tacked in place and it's barely tacked. And we're going to put a muffler. Muffler will go probably right around the same location. We'll have an exhaust hanger coming off of this cross member here. We're gonna keep coming with the exhaust, and then we're just gonna spit it out right over the leaf spring right here and out from under the rig. So it's a very simple exhaust, but simple and effective, being as we have a muffler and it's gonna be out from under the truck. So it's not just gonna resonate in this giant fiberglass box. I'm excited for it. So let's just go ahead, cut out that resonator, put in some pipe, put in a muffler. Should actually be a quick install. So let's see how quickly we can get it done. This exhaust isn't gonna be very long. What we're gonna do is chop this existing piece right here, put a V-band in. If you don't know what a V-band is, it's basically an exhaust coupling. You tighten this, and I'll show you the two pieces. These fit together with a machine finish, boop, and this little clamp tightens them together, and then you have no exhaust leak. So we'll put the V-band to separate the rear half and the front half of the exhaust right about here, and then we'll be able to take the muffler section out and take the downpipe section out, all happily without struggling. So right now, our mission is to cut this and get this resonator off here, weld on, tack on the V-band, and start the muffler back section. Something like that. Then we'll TIG weld that, because it's all stainless and it's all got to be TIG welded. The stainless wire. I don't TIG weld stainless much, so this ought to be interesting. A little bit of sandpaper, get some of the grime off the existing stainless. Try and weld clean. Squeeze it. Stainless welding's so pretty. Man, between the man bun, the helmet, you never get nothing done around here, man. All right, well, that's definitely good intact. Good intact. Now we start building the muffler system. All right, so I'm thinking this is about where we want the muffler, and then the exhaust pipe will go from here, and then make it turn, go out right here where the leaf spring should never contact, and we will ditch it right in the wheel well vicinity, and hopefully all the stench, all the soot from running a little bit rich because we're not on a standalone yet and all that stuff will go out there. So nice. Let's cut 5 inches off of it. That's all we need. Maybe I will weld it to the muffler first, as so I know exactly where I want to place everything else. A little shaky there, but that color looks pretty cool. This will be interesting. So if I weld this crooked and our V-band's not tight, when we tighten the V-band, it's gonna put this muffler not where I want it. So we need to tighten the V-band down, make sure everything's tight there, weld the muffler where we want it, support the muffler, and then move on. Just a wee bit crooked. It's just tink when I wanted it, just tink. But you know, we'll have that. I'll fix that in the next piece. We'll get a big, long, pretty piece of stainless. So we'll cut this piece here. This piece will then slide over that piece. It will end up being somewhere in there, and then we'll sneak it out, and we'll ultimately dump the exhaust out from under the vehicle right there. Easy peasy. Muffler back exhaust. Done. All right, you guys have been asking for it, so we're gonna go ahead and do it. We are launching a Patreon where you guys can directly support us. We're gonna be putting a bunch of behind the scenes stuff on there. Nothing exclusive, nothing crazy. We're gonna try and post there daily. I mean, the more you support me, the more I'll post there. But link is in the description for our Patreon. It directly helps us make more videos and more content, and we get more content to you directly. So thank you guys so much for the support, for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Now I gotta get some air filter on this thing because we're gonna go to the desert and party. We'll use this for our tip. No piece is wasted. Aw, it's not gonna be long enough. Well, you know what? If I do that. Oh! My so nice stainless. And then we do something like this. Kind of looks snazzy rather than just there. This kind of makes it look cool. I'm welding it. I lied, I don't want you tapped there. Don't break my other welds. Give me back. There we go. That will do. Welding. Nice and tucked up in there. Now this will go here. Get another weld on that bad boy. We're just sending it. This prevent stuff is easy. It doesn't look like the best. It's still stainless though. Burned a hole. Not a big hole. Definitely didn't get that tack in though. That will do for now. Cut it at 45. It'll look neat. Neato. I will just go ahead and tack all these together, pull it all off, and weld it all up. I dipped that tungsten. It's angry. Very angry. New tungsten time. Yeah, that one's clean. Clean. Get this finished up real quick. So before we get too much further, we need to hang up this exhaust. But a hanger back here probably is not a bad idea. So I'll cut a couple of these off because we don't need it that long. Tack weld it to the top of this. Yes, this is not stainless. Yes, it's gonna rust. No, I don't care. It'll hold my exhaust up. Shorter now. And now I'll weld it to the top of this. Put a rib nut in the frame there, and it will hold this exhaust up. Look, it's holding it now. Yay, for holding it. All right, we're gonna mark this hole where we're gonna need to put the self-tapper, or not self-tapper, rib nut, no self-tapper. And then we will mark our very last piece where it's gonna need cut before we put this last little exhaust bend right here. approximately there. So we want this cut, I don't know, somewhere right there. Cut that, weld all this a little better, come back with a rib nut in here, put it in place and finish this exhaust. And then we're gonna hear how it sounds. Hopefully it's quieter than 122 decibels. Jeez. Ugh. Hopefully I didn't just bend that. Seems pretty solid. Good enough. Finally have a solid excuse to use my new weld table. TRK Fab, check them out. They hooked it up, they'll hook you up. Ooh, felt that in my bones. I'm gonna get some PPE on. Stainless is a new animal for me. I've never welded stainless, and I'm not getting myself comfortable, which is the key to TIG welding. So here we are. That's what we get. I need to take the time, organize my life, but I have no time until King of the Hammers, so no life organization. All right, we've got this well tacked enough that we're gonna chop off where we need to chop off, get the last little piece welded on here, and yeah, weld it out comfortably once we get all of our awesome attachments off of our welding table, because it makes our large welding table kind of small. All right, let's do it. Drill, rib nut, so that we can mount our hanger. Words, lots of them. Tools, even more. Oh, I think I crushed the rib nut. Okay, we'll try it again with a rib nut that I don't crush outside the hole. Idiot. All right. Now, got a nice place to bolt our hanger. So we'll put this exhaust back on, put the hanger in there, do the tip thing, we're good. Dialed. Boom. I can hang from my exhaust. We had no exhaust hangers, and that's why it was kind of jank before. And now we have exhaust hangers, and we can see what it's gonna look like. It's not jank. It's not too bad. I like it, actually. Who wants to hear what it sounds like? I do.
All right, well, we have an exhaust leak right here, so we'll fix that.
Yeah, I think I installed the V-band wrong. Yes. Now, we may actually have V-band doing V-band things. So I'm pretty sure all of it was just coming out right here. Well, it's still loud, but I think it's much quieter at idle. We have a lot of exhaust leak considering I can just... Truck's still running. It does sound a lot better coming out of here than it did before. It's not quite as raspy. It's quieter and it's not dumping under the truck anymore. That's good. Let's get this welded out and see what it sounds like welded when there's no exhaust leaks. If there is a bright side to all of this, it's that it is much quieter in the cab, so it's only obnoxious for everyone else. That's a plus for me and my wife. I think that'll do. Yep, I'm happy with that. So I'm actually gonna cut this right here, right now, so I know kind of the plane I'm looking for. And then I will pull it all apart, weld it all out, and we're done. Exhaust is done. We'll get all the exhaust leaks fixed and see if this thing's still obnoxiously loud, which I have a feeling it might be. That is a good enough cut that I can finish on the table. We'll unbolt all this, be done with this, and go weld it out. Woo! All right, guys, just me in the shop today, but we're gonna wrap up this Toyota Sunraider that we started yesterday. So we got the rear diff in, we got the exhaust built, and we'll listen to the exhaust later. I'm not gonna lie, I did listen to the exhaust, and I'm excited to show you guys. Right now, we have some diff fluid we need to put in the rear diff, install the rear drive line, get some lithium batteries in this thing, and we need to wire the rear locker. So let's get started with this big old list of stuff we need to do to this thing before it's ready to take on King of the Hammers. And now we have the rear diff installed, the rear diff full, and the rear drive shaft in, which are all huge things as far as a four-wheel drive Sunraider goes. It's been a minute since we've been proper four-wheel drive. So now we need to get this e-locker wired up. This is all the wiring. It all came with the kit. All this came from LC Engineering. Huge shout out. They have everything you need for Toyotas. So go give their website a visit. If you need something, they probably have it. If they don't have it, they'll get it for you. Awesome people, awesome group of guys. Right now we need to get this, which is the activator switch for the locker. You push up here, boom, locker activated, deactivated. We have a ground, we have a positive that goes to a fuse, and then we have this that goes to the relay. The relay has a few wires. We have, again, a power, which goes to this breaker. We have a ground, we have this wire that goes to the switch, and yeah, that's it. So we need to power the breaker, then breaker powers this, ground, switch. It's super straightforward. The biggest thing I'm gonna have a problem with is figuring out a place to mount this in the truck. We don't have a whole ton of real estate. I'm thinking somewhere in this vicinity so I don't bump it with my knee over there. I'll figure that out later. It might just sit in the truck for now until I find a good spot for a few switches. But yes, once we get that wired, we're gonna switch over to our lithium. We got it 532 amp hour of Expion 360 lithium, which is insane. We can run whatever we want. So I'm super stoked to finally get this in. I've had this almost a year. The boys at E360 are the best. They have the best products. They have the best customer service. They have everything you need. So we're gonna go install all 532 amp hour. This is all heated, so you don't have to worry about cold weather charging, anything like that. They're all CAN bus, so they all communicate with each other. Here's the heat. So now the heat is activated if need be. This is the power for just the entire battery. Power off, heat off. That'll switch off in just a second. The E360 lithium is so nice. So we're gonna get all 532 amp hour installed. We have a 30 amp DC to DC from Victron that we're gonna get installed. We have a Multi-Plus 3000 that we will eventually get installed. We have the entire Victron power system to make sure all our E360 is taken care of. We will get all that installed, but for the King of the Hammers trip, all we're worried about is the DC to DC and the batteries, because we just have a fridge to run. We have like some things to charge. We don't need all of that. We're not gonna be running AC, anything like that. So let's get this locker wired, and then let's start working on getting all of our E360 lithium installed. And then I think for the most part, the Sunraider is just about done. I do want to nut and bolt check this thing because I fully restored this frame off. The frame's been powder coated. So I need to nut and bolt this because we did one 1,200 mile road trip and we did lose a rear drive shaft. So I wouldn't mind just going through, making sure everything's dialed. I mean, this LC engine has been so good to me. I want to make sure that I am good to it. We're going to give it another oil change. Just make sure everything's really, really, really dialed, because I love this truck and this engine was quite expensive and I don't want to hurt it. So that's what we're headed to do now. We'll go ahead, get this wiring installed, run it all. It'll be pretty easy. I do have a battery relocation, so we don't have to go under the hood. I mean, I'm sure you saw under the hood, there's no battery. So if you look under here, that is where the battery is. So that is where we'll be mounting the relay and all that stuff. So easy enough, all underneath. It should just take a minute. So let's get her done. All right, so you can barely see up there, but we have the wiring to the diff done. We have wiring to the battery done. We have our new breaker done. We have a couple more small things to do with routing of wires and such, but the last thing that we really have to do is get this switch here wired in. This needs 12 volts. This needs to be a ground. We already have the yellow switch, the yellow wire going to the locker relay. So now is the time. wire up this stuff in the cab, couple more zip ties, we're done with that. We can move on to the lithium system and the DC to DC charger, which should, in theory, wrap up all the upgrades for the Sunraider. We just need to nut and bolt it. One more thing I do need to do, if you look right, that's hard to see, but right back there, we're barely contacting the shock hoop with our bypass. So we actually need to take the bypasses off, twist the body just a little bit, and then put the bypasses back on so we can flex this thing out at hammers, because that's all this thing really does good is flex on people. So other than the shocks, get the locker wired, we're just about there. We'll get this thing done today, hop back on the 4Runner, get the 4Runner ready for hammers, and then soon enough we'll be leaving for hammers. And I'm so excited to go hang out on the lake bed. And just like that, we are done with the locker. As you can see here, when I pull this one forward, the other tire and the drive shaft all move forward. Ugh, not easy to do, lots of rolling resistance. We come in here, flip that switch, and disengages the locker. You probably didn't hear it, but I did. We heard a click, and now the locker is disengaged. Drive shaft no longer spins. This is a lot easier to spin. And the other wheel is spinning backwards because that's for some reason how open differentials work. I mean, it's not some reason, there's a very specific reason, but that's how they work. Officially time to install the Lithium. Look at this unit of batteries, but we're gonna go ahead and open one of these. This is what you get when you order a 132 amp hour lithium battery from Expion 360. Now these things are CAN bus compatible, they're self-heated. The packaging obviously is very, very good. Padding on all sides. You get your instructions, you get your welcome to the crew packet, good old sticker, never too many stickers, lithium grease, that's it. Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, AC in the summer, huh? We're gonna do it. So, this is what you get. It's awesome, it's relatively lightweight. This is 132 amp hour, and I mean, this is a real battery, not just a core, this is the whole thing. This is about where it's gonna go. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4 deep. We're gonna connect them all. Now we have 2 securing or mounting points for the floor here. It's a pretty trick system all in all. Really easy, especially when you get all of the hardware. So we have bus bars for the ends, and then we have the connectors, which will go right there, and we'll get all of these wired up, put together, and I'll show you our plan. This is the best location that we have for these batteries, just given all the restraints. Unfortunately, it's on the same side as the fuel tank, so it just is what it is. But we are going to put the water tank over here, and anything else that we can possibly think of that's heavy will go over here. But the whole power system is ultimately going on the same side as the fuel tank, which is less than ideal, but we're gonna get custom springs built, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem. Anyway, let's go ahead. I'm so hyped. I mean, look at those. Look at that. I am so hyped. Let's see what this all looks like together. These connecting bars are so nice. They're clean. The install is very clean. The bus bars that they have are very clean. Everything about this install is clean, and I obviously have a ton of faith that this is going to last a long time. We're going to get this fully together, get our DC to DC converter, or a DC to DC inverter converter, whatever, mounted probably just to a piece of plywood that we have back here for now, because we will maybe make the entire electrical system here, so when we build whatever sink or bench we build here, it can just be left there. We'll put the wall and it'll be good to go. So anyway, I'm rambling. Back to work. So yesterday we got in the oil pressure sensor. We did an oil change, and we actually did a couple things in the back before we went to bed. Got late, you know the deal. I was the only one here, so let's see. Oh buddy, we did an oil change, so let's make sure this thing builds oil pressure. Boom, we have oil pressure. 60 PSI at idle, that's not bad. Now we need to get to the obvious, huge, massive issue, which is this muffler. I went ahead and picked up a new muffler. Before we were running a Borla. They said on Amazon that it was quiet, and I guess my definition and their definition of quiet is a lot different. Now we're running this MagnaFlow. So they also said this one was quiet. We will find out. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw that on. You guys have already seen me put a muffler on, so there's nothing more to see. I will check back with you when we have this new muffler on, and we'll do one more sound clip, and hopefully oh, hopefully this is a quieter muffler because this thing is obnoxious right now. So after much negotiation, I decided, well, there wasn't much at all, that we're gonna put both mufflers on there. I want this thing to be quiet. I don't want the drone. I don't want the headache. I'm tired of loud rigs. I'm old. I'm 29 years old now. Yesterday was my birthday. I turned old. Sorry, if you're older than 29, you're old with me. So we got two mufflers on here. We brought the tip further out from inside the shell so that it doesn't resonate off the shell. But we have a Borla and a Magnaflow muffler on here. So now for the final time, let's see what this thing sounds like and let's see how loud it is. So I'm gonna go in there and start it up. So previous number was 97 or so outside. Idle's the same. Idle is the same. Will you hold this again so I can rev it? We lost 10 decibels. That's a lot, and it isn't as like barky. When you touched the throttle before, it like barked at you. So that's huge. Let's see what it is in the cab. We're bouncing between 65 and 70 in the cab. We lost 20 decibels. Was it 20? No, it was 80 in the cab. We lost 10 decibels all the way around, but it sounds so much better. And look at the freaking oil pressure sensor. That thing is trick. So now we know the oil pressure starts to get low, well, we're in trouble. So I think we're finally done and ready for hammers. We got a few things done in the back here. Threw together a makeshift couch, got our E360 power in there. We got the fridge over there, cleaning everything out. And yeah, for a quick temporary rig, I'm stoked. This thing is gonna go to King of the Hammers for its second time and have a damn blast doing it. So let's go see what this thing does on the open road. I'm stoked.
You ever take your motorhome on a walk? Because if you don't, they do feel neglected time to time. Sometimes you have to, steer them where to go, but usually they're good and they'll just walk themselves like good motorhomes. So, remember, take your motorhome on a walk.
This thing is working fantastic. Rear locker, dialed. Freaking everything on this thing is so dialed. It has been so long since I've been behind the wheel of this thing and felt confident and comfortable that this thing isn't gonna leave me stranded. Huge shout out to LC Engineering for the rear diff, and of course taking care of this with the engine. Obviously Xmeon 360 hooking us up with the batteries. And thank you guys for staying here and watching this entire episode. It was awesome. Thank you guys so much, really. Until next time, when the 4Runner finally gets completely dialed and ready for King of the Hammers as well, we'll see you guys later.